Hi readers, it's Lori. Welcome back to my channel, Books, Ink, and Paper, or welcome if this is your first time. I hope you'll take a look around, look at some of the other videos that I have posted, and comment, like, be a part of this community. If you'd like to subscribe, this is a great group of people. I think you'll like them a lot, and we will talk about a variety of books most days, including today, because I am talking to you today about the books that I am unsure why I haven't read. I was sitting here, this is my little couch, this is one of my couches, and I was sitting here, laying here the other day, looking at the bookcases, reading and looking up in between chapters, and I have been looking at them more frequently because I often lay on this couch and watch TV or read or nap, and I am seeing them more than I used to. And I was thinking the other day, why haven't I read that book? And then I started looking at the Book of the Month Club shelf and thinking, why haven't I read those books? Some of these I've had for quite a while. I am trying to read down my Book of the Month backlist. The point is, I really wanted these books at one point in my life, and I did not get to them. So why? What is holding me back? So here are 3 books that I want to talk to you about today and try to figure out why I haven't read them. So the first one is The Connellys of County Down by Tracy Lang. I love this cover. I absolutely love this cover. And it looks like it could be a spring or summer read. Maybe fall, but I don't know. Daisies. I read We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang several years ago. It was a debut novel by that author, found it in a local indie store. My partner and I both thought it looked like it would be good, and it was. I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was a family drama, contemporary fiction, a little bit of family angst, but not enough that it drove me crazy, right? Like just the right amount. Good character development, well plotted, which led me to purchase The Connellys of County Down when it came as my Book of the Month Club selection a year ago in July. So I've had it a year, sitting there looking at me, haven't read it. Why? I think in the end, when I looked at the ratings, they weren't as high as I would have liked. And I found a couple of friends had rated it not so highly either. And they're friends that usually I have similar tastes. So I think I got spooked and thought that I wasn't going to like it. But I have no reason to believe that I won't, because there are some other friends of mine that really did enjoy it very, very much. So I think it's time to give it a shot. It's a small novel. It's probably not even quite 300 pages. Yeah, it is not. It is, again, her second book. This one is about a woman named Tara Connelly, obviously. And Tara has been in prison for a drug charge. And she's being released. She's served her time, and she's coming back to her family to try to restart and rebuild her life. When she returns, though, her brother has had a brain injury, and he's struggling with the impact of that, as well as taking care of at least one child. I'm not sure how many children, but taking care of a child, I think, and just trying to make things stay afloat, essentially, with his injury. And a brain injury, if you've not known anyone or who's had one, they're pretty intense. I hope you haven't had one, but they're pretty, the recovery is long and difficult. Her sister is also kind of challenged, although you wouldn't know it to look at her. Apparently she's covering up the fact that inside she's really kind of falling apart. And so Tara is, I guess, discovering some of what's happening with her, also while trying to get a job, you know, back into society, those kinds of things. But then add to that, the guy who put her into prison for the drug charge is now showing up all over the place coincidentally. So I think that this is, again, contemporary family drama to some degree, but also maybe coming back to herself. I'm not sure, but I don't know why I wouldn't have picked this up. I really don't. And I think that I need to just put the ratings aside and some of the criticism aside and prioritize this. In fact, I could read it this month or next month if I wanted to. I definitely could. This next book, why I haven't read it, I don't know. I remember I was driving home in my car from somewhere I don't recall, listening to a podcast talking about this book. It may have been the Currently Reading podcast. I don't remember, but I remember this plot. And I remember driving into the community where I live and thinking, when I get home, I got to look up this book. Well, it turns out that while I was hearing about it, because it had come out, it actually was then released as a book of the month selection the next month. So this also came out in 2023. I don't know which month because apparently they didn't put it on. This may have been an add-on and not a book of the month release, that month release. Nevertheless, Katie Williams, My Murder. This is not her first novel. She's written some YA novels as well. She wrote The Space Between Trees and Absent and Tell the Machine Good Night, which was a finalist for the Kirkus Prize. So she's written some other stuff. And the premise of this is, again, what really caught me. So this is about a woman whose name is Lou, and she's married and she has a toddler and she's killed by a serial killer. But the government has a project in which they can reanimate her and bring her back into society. I'm not sure what the purpose of that is, except that what I am going to tell you is that what this is about is that then when she's reanimated, she goes about trying to figure out who killed her. Why would I not have picked this up? I don't know. I think it is primarily because of where it was shelved. It was shelved in a bookcase in my room, and I think that it was on the end and it was getting sort of crowded out by the stuff that was in the middle. I don't know, but and it was on the bottom shelf. So, if I wasn't turning and looking at it, I wouldn't have seen it. And so I will say that that might be the reason why I didn't get to this. It's also possible that this falls apart because that synopsis brings up a lot of expectation for me, and it may not meet that expectation. But I really think it was partially because, like this cover, it was hidden in a place that I could only kind of see it, and I wasn't connecting with it to say, let's get this read. This is also not a very large novel, so probably just under 300 pages. And I think this would be a fantastic, fantastic read. So I'm gonna prioritize that one too. And then the last one, Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. This one came out in October of last year, so I've had it a little bit less time, but I definitely had this on my radar at the time because I have wanted to read something by this author for a while. I have heard a lot of buzz about the 10,000 Doors of January, and I've never gotten to that. I have not seen that on Book of the Month. But she also wrote The Once and Future Witches and some other short fiction as well. This cover too, absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely love it. Keys, starlings, flowers, good colors. Probably is a great book to read in the fall, but I may do that in, September. Before October is my goal. I'm just going to tell you now, before October is my goal. This one is about a young girl whose name is Opal. The first line of this, it's Gothic fantasy, by the way. First line of this is, I dream sometimes about a house I've never seen. Opal is a young girl whose brother, who's Jasper, lives with her in Eden, Kentucky, which is a kind of a not successful little town. And she's struggling to be able to support her brother and make a better life for them. And what Eden, Kentucky is famous for is an author who wrote a book called The Underlands, and the author's name was E. Starling. And she was very reclusive, and she disappeared about 100 years ago. But they maintained her house to some degree. So it's a very, very old house. And Opal is hired to take care of this house And I think she and Jasper then move into the house. But when she steps inside of the house, she discovers that some sinister things are at play. So again, this would be a perfect kind of fall read, but also it would be a perfect read, I think, anytime. It does have some illustrations. I did question based on the illustrations if this was YA, so I didn't pick it up because I didn't really want it to be YA. I wanted it to be adult, but I have researched and I have no evidence that this is YA. So I'm going to hope that it is an adult novel. This one's a little bit less YA looking than some of the others, but I just don't know why I haven't gotten to this. And I'm doing this video with you now. I'm going to commit to this. Not necessarily in the month of July, but I'm going to commit to this soon because it is time to get all three of these. Why haven't I read these books off my list into the I have read these books, and hopefully I'm going to discover that I really love them. We shall see. Let me know if you've read any of these, and if so, what you thought of them. I'm always interested in that. If you've read any of these authors or the other books that they've written, specifically the 10,000 Doors of January, because I haven't bought that one because I'm also not certain. Fantasy sometimes intimidates me a lot, and I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to follow it. And so I sometimes just don't pick it up. But I have a good bit of fantasy that I'm trying to read this year. So it's been something I prioritized more, kind of unconsciously at first, and now a little bit more consciously. But also, this is a perfect stack because it's three very different books, right? Gothic fantasy, murder, sci-fi, thriller, and family contemporary fiction drama. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let me know what you think if you've read any of these. I really do want to know your thoughts about them. Thanks for joining me today. And as always, happy reading. Bye.